All right, 6 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Look how beautiful the day turned out to be, Robin, huh?
Yeah, it is gorgeous out there.
Sometimes you just got to wait a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
That might be part of what we're going to talk about a little bit. Right now, years ago I read Jonathan Livingston Seagull, a very short book. You can read it probably hour, maybe. I don't know. I remember it was really a short book. Quick. And it was very profound book. I think we have another very profound book to talk about, and it's written by our guest, George Kimeldorf. He's on the phone right now. His book is called From Seeker to Finder, Discovering Everyday Happiness, and it says here that Mr. Kimeldorf, Dr. Kimeldorf, is a retired professor from the University of Texas at Dallas. And if you read this book, you will realize that he has made some observations. Maybe you've made some similar ones. Or maybe if you're very young, maybe you can get a head start and recognize some of these things that will enable you to, stop being so anxious about things. One of the things I remember when I was younger, Robin, was that I used to, in trying to apply for work, would wait for that phone call that I got the job, would wait for that letter that I got the gig because I was into music or whatever it was, always waiting, right?
Yeah.
And then so disappointed when you didn't get the call, so disappointed when you didn't get the gig. And then I realized, you know what, I'm just going to go do something. I don't care what it is, I'm going to do it. And you and I had a similar experience when we were playing music for children. We played for these very, very handicapped children right here in Ocala. Mm-hmm. And they were so happy.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, these children who have, in some cases, no legs, in some cases, no muscle movement, in some cases, they were mentally challenged, or whatever the correct political word would be now.
Yeah.
But they were happy. That's my point. And meanwhile, we go to school with healthy kids, and sometimes they'd be complaining. They'd be more interested in getting the jingle bells that you were jingling than they would actually be having fun with the music that we were providing. George Kimeldorf, I think we would get along if we spent some time together. Good morning, George.
Yes. Good morning, Larry. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Are you in Florida?
No. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, you are in Dallas. Okay. For some reason, I thought you moved to Florida for some reason. Well, thank you for being on the air with us today.
Well, thank you.
So, am I making you uncomfortable by telling you that I got the feeling from the book that you are a wise man?
No, you won't make me uncomfortable. There's probably very little you could do to make me uncomfortable. Maybe jab me in the ribs or something. But,
okay. So I have a question then about that. Since you have acquired some wisdom, the question is, have you acquired it, or were you a wise 6-year-old? Were you wise when you were 6?
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't remember that. I was probably wise when I was 2 or 3, okay?
Yeah, I bet you were.
So I really don't remember that, obviously. I mean, I thought I was wise when I was 6.
Right. And
there's no doubt about that.
I would guess that wisdom increases over one's life. But did you find yourself questioning why other people were unhappy at certain things? In other words, did you observe others who maybe didn't grasp some of the things you did grasp, but maybe not then, maybe now? Maybe it's more now than then.
A lot more now than then, because then I was like them. I didn't know. I didn't get it. I didn't know anything about happiness. I thought, well, the way to be happy is to get an education, or the way to be happy is to get wealth, material success, or the real way to get happy, I thought, was through the approval of others. If others approve of you, then you'll be happy. So I had all these mistaken notions about how to be happy, and I think almost everybody, I can't speak for everyone, has those same mistaken notions. And if you notice like successful actors, they're not happier than everyone else, or successful CEOs of large corporations, politicians. And as you remarked, those challenged kids were happier than the healthier kids. So it's interesting to notice at least how not to find happiness.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, let me just say one more thing about this, is that people have studied lottery winners. And you'd think that lottery winners, they'd be happy. Sure, they just won the lottery.
Right.
Well, the fact is they are happier for about 2 or 3 months afterwards. And then they revert to their normal level, whatever,
Yeah.
before they won the lottery.
I know.
So
Well, here's an observation, and I know that I'm not alone in this one. The happiest place on earth is often a moniker associated with Disney World. Okay, and this is not a reflection on Disney World. It's a reflection on people. Our visits to Walt Disney World, especially when we had young children. Robin's 2 children are adults, and my son is an adult. But when they were little, we would go, and I can remember at the end of the day, as parents are getting cranky and kids are getting restless.
Yeah.
I remember parents grabbing the kids by the arm, "Get over here! We're not getting in that line anymore."
I know.
And I would say,
awful.
"This is the happiest place on earth." These people, they traveled thousands of miles to be here. They couldn't wait to get here. Mm-hmm. And now this child goes home, back to not home, but back to their motel room or wherever they're staying.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean, you're right on target. We need to, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great observation, Larry.
It just seems that it took you a while for yourself personally to find true happiness, even though you thought you had it.
It took me a long while, yes, because I was looking in the wrong direction, looking in the wrong places, yes.
Talk about the part of the book. Again, the book is called From Seeker to Finder, when your wife is about to deliver your second child.
Ah, okay. Yes. I had a daughter, and we've been having a very loving relationship with my daughter, but I really wanted a son. I mean, my life was going to be complete if I had a son. I mean, I knew that. That was the joy. That was the thing I wanted. I wanted a son. And those were back in the days when we didn't know the sex of children before they were born.
Right.
Those were back in the days when the husbands weren't allowed in the delivery room. And so the doctor comes out and tells me, "You've got a son." And I was thrilled. My life was complete. This was the greatest thing that could ever happen to me, And then, a few months later, I was back to my normal self. I mean, I had another child in the house, and I was, whatever. But that great happiness that I thought would be there, it dissipated.
I hope he doesn't hear this.
Yeah.
It's in the book, and he's already read it, okay? And he's now an adult, and he knows I love him, and he knows my daughter knows that I love her, so it's not a problem.
Yeah.
It seems sad, though, that sometimes people will try to emulate the life of somebody else and think that that's going to bring them the happiness instead of them being themselves.
Obviously, yes. Exactly right, Robin. You got it.
So when we look around ourselves and we see things like American Idol, and we see that there's one winner and all these losers, I mean, do you think that our culture sets us up for having a false idea? And is that why we have so much unhappiness?
In my opinion, yes. Our culture definitely sets us up for that. Advertising sets us up for that. I hate to say radio sets us up for that. TV sets us up for that. I think so. I think our culture really sets us up for these false notions of happiness. And then, what happens, we believe that we're going to be happy when we get this whatever.
Yes.
And then when it doesn't happen,
Oh, yes.
instead of blaming the culture, I've been deceived, we blame ourselves. Hey, what's wrong with me? I got all of this thing. I was supposed to be happy. I'm not.
Absolutely true. Just to use my American Idol, it's really a metaphor. I am talking about that, but it can apply to anything. If you take 10 kids who want to be the best singer and they apply for this show, only one of them walks away feeling like they truly are the best singer.
Yeah.
The other 9 feel like, oh man, I was rejected. If those 10 kids, instead of going to American Idol, just went out to a bar and started singing, or to a beach club, or to a Boy Scout camp, or to anything,
Yeah.
Guess what? All 10 of them start to feel accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yes, that's right. We foster a lot of unnecessary competition.
Sometimes people are entrepreneurs and other people are the people that work for those entrepreneurs. Sometimes the people that work for the entrepreneurs, they're really happy with what they're doing, yet other people will come out and say, why don't you break away from that and start your own whatever it is? But they're real happy doing what they're doing. How can you help those kind of people just ignore the other people's advice and just have the courage just to be where they're at?
Well, that's a good observation. I've observed. I was in academia for a while, and I just wondered: who's happier, the president of the university, or the person who comes in at night to clean out his office? I don't know. So I don't know that, and I think the real way to help them is a book such as mine. People can read that book, and they can sort of wake up to what really are the sources of happiness.
Okay, so let's be a fly on the wall. Let's say somebody comes to you. Well, before I ask you this question, before I put you through this little scenario,
Okay.
I had a thought before when you talked about the instant happiness with winning the lottery and then suddenly leveling out and being normal again, or the instant happiness of having a son and suddenly leveling out again. The same thing happens in reverse when somebody passes away and we're terribly sad by that. We eventually also level off and come back to that same point, don't we?
Yes, that is exactly right. That's true.
With you being a mathematician, sir, you've had to be so analytical in your chosen field and teaching others. How can you get other people, how can you help them get the courage to not be so analytical of themselves, that they are going to make mistakes and that they need to learn from them?
Yes. Well, one thing is we all have this kind of self-judgment. We all have this thought in the back of our heads, I'm not okay, or I'm not good enough. I need to change, okay? We have this constant voice in our heads telling us that somehow we're inadequate in one way or the other. We're too fat, we're too thin, we're not wealthy enough, whatever, okay? And that voice itself causes a lot of unhappiness.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So my recommendation, and this takes some work, is listen to that voice. Just be aware of it. And don't try to change it. Don't try to make it go away, because it ain't going to go away, okay? It's going to be there for a while, okay? So just listen to it. Observe it, okay? Don't try to make it go away. And in the process of observing it, it will lose some of its emotional hold on you. And then afterwards, this takes some practice, you can actually learn to doubt it. That is, you'll actually observe that these statements that you're not okay aren't true. They really are lies. They are not true.
Okay, so let me be devil's advocate for a second, because if I ignore it and it is being obese, then I won't lose the weight. If I ignore it and it is being poor, then I won't do anything to try to make more money. And in both cases, I'd be better off, maybe not happier, but better off if I were to lose the weight, if I were to get a better paying job. No?
Yes, and you raise a very, very good point. And first of all, making a change is challenging, like losing weight, okay? And a part of our mind strongly resists change. Now, here's the point. When you try to make a change, like getting from point A to point B, it's a mistake to reject point A. In other words, if you want to lose weight, you don't need to hate yourself for being fat.
There you go. Right.
That's the point. In fact, there's a famous 20th century psychologist, Carl Rogers, who said this much better than I can. If you don't mind, let me just quote what he said. He said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I change. We cannot move away from what we are until we thoroughly accept what we are."
Well, that goes to accepting others as well, because I know when I was growing up, the it wasn't as multicultural a society as it is today, and you have so many more different people here on, in our country alone, and they're in different professions and things like that. How can a person stop condemning others and just accept others as the way they are and be friendly to them instead of having animosity?
Well, I'll tell you, okay? This again will sound paradoxical. The first step in doing that is loving and accepting yourself. That is really the first step. Once you love and accept yourself as you are, it's so much easier to love and accept others. Now, I'm not talking to you in theory now. This has exactly been my experience, and I describe in my book how I go through that experience. That, when you really get to love and accept yourself, it's so easy to accept others. What you do has no effect on me. If you're fat or you're thus and so, you're the wrong race, you're the wrong religion, you're the different political persuasion than I am. That doesn't affect me. That's fine with me.
Yeah, right. So here's an interesting observation. If we're talking about being happy, and we change our mind from saying I'll be happy when I'm earning, $80,000 a year. Mm-hmm. I'll be happy then. And instead of saying that, you say I'm happy now, but I'm still going to work toward making $80,000 a year. So I'm happy. I'm happy. So in other words, the happiness part can be instant. So, for example, you couldn't say I'll be happy when I become happy, because there is no timeline between deciding to be it and being it. It's
exactly yes.
It's instant. Wow. It's instant.
That's right. You got it exactly right, Larry. That's right. So any notion you have of being happy in the future, go ahead, have that notion if you want to, okay? But, the future never comes in the sense of, you know what I mean, because it's always now, okay?
Yeah.
And the idea of I'll be happier when I make more money, that's fine. But then after you make more money, you'll still have the thought, I'll be happier when I make more money.
Right.
And then there you go. Maybe somebody has achieved whatever it is they set out to achieve, like you did, sir, but then they're resting on their laurels, and then they feel some kind of inner movement within themselves, and they can't really put their finger on it as to what it is they need to do to take the next step.
Right. Yes. And that's an experience that I've had. I've gone through all these things that should make me happy. And they were great. It's nice to have a good family and a loving wife and loving kids and enough money. And that's, I don't begrudge that. But that was not the source of my happiness.
And that's a really good point. George Kimeldorf is our guest. His book is called From Seeker to Finder, Discovering Everyday Happiness. And there's a photograph on the cover of the book of a young man sitting cross-legged on a grassy knoll out just on the edge of the sea, it looks like. Mm-hmm. That reminds me of something I wanted to share with you. Years ago, Robin and I used to bicycle. and I can remember bicycling with Robin on one of these long bicycle paths that they built here in Florida. And we stopped because it was so long. We stopped and we sat on this hill, similar to the hill on the cover of the book. And I said to Robin, "This is beautiful." I said, "You know what? If I had $1 million, this wouldn't be any more beautiful than it is right now. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't matter what I had. This moment right now wouldn't change." So that's kind of what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm saying something else, okay? Additionally, I'm saying, Larry, is you don't need to go out on the beach or go on the bicycle to do that. You could be right where you are, right now, in the studio, doing your job and interviewing me, and having that real sense of happiness and expansion and satisfaction.
How do you tell somebody else that they need to find a happiness in a different way? Because sometimes the person can't see it themselves, and then you're a great, a very loving person, and you see that somebody else might be happy, and how do you try to steer them in that direction without feeling like you're butting into their life?
That's an interesting question, and I don't know if I have the answer to that. Okay, my first answer is you don't. Okay,
yeah.
That it's very hard to tell people what they need to do to change, and I think the answer is, instead of telling them, be it yourself. Be the example. Let them see it in you. In other words, don't try to tell them that, you need to do this, you need to do that. That doesn't work. Okay?
Yeah. Very philosophical. I think the audience gets that. We have the phone lit up, so are you okay with me taking phone calls?
Yes, I definitely am.
All right, George Kimeldorf is our guest, and his book is called From Seeker to Finder, Discovering Everyday Happiness. Good morning. You're on the air with George.
I'm calling just to get the book.
Okay. Well, I will give it away at the end, all right? See, our listeners know, George, that we do give away the books that we get sent, so I will give it away at the end if you can be patient. But I promise you'll be able to afford this one. It's a very small book, and we'll give that information out in just a few minutes. I love the conversation. I love the thinking. I think the big question is this, that if Rob and I are almost 60, so there you go. You know our age, and we've been around the block a few times. Not to say that we didn't experience happiness when we were in our 20s. But the hard thing is getting your children or somebody else to understand what it takes to be happy. That is kind of the bigger challenge. And then the challenge for yourself is not being brought down by somebody else's unhappiness, right?
Well, yeah. Now that one I've done, okay? That is, someone else's happiness is not going to bring me down. I mean, it would have in the past. There's no doubt about it, okay? But it doesn't anymore. So that situation I've got handled, okay? Now, in terms of, teaching this to your children and your grandchildren, I don't know the answer to that. That's part of the goal of my book.
And I was going to say that. I was going to say maybe the children and the grandchildren will read the book and get it. You've done a good job of doing it, of teaching it in the book. So is this a first book for you, by the way?
It's the first and last, yes. Well, no, I can't really say it's the last. I'm almost sure it's the last. Yeah, I'm not an author. I don't know how to write. And I just had this experience of being, going through this and becoming happy. And what's interesting is it was one of my students who suggested to me, hey, why don't you write a book? And then she actually helped me writing it. So I got a lot of help in writing it. I'm not a writer. I'm skilled at mathematics. I'm not skilled at writing. Okay, so I got a lot of help. Okay?
I would disagree with the conclusion about your own writing skills. I think you're fine as a writer. Well, I think you're fine as a philosopher.
Oh yeah.
I think that comes through very clearly, and they say math is part of everything. I don't understand it. We had Pi Day the other day, and
yes, we did.
It's beyond me how scientists know how to use pi somehow to get a probe on Mars. I don't know how they did that. But somehow math gets us there. All right, now, for those who would like the book, the one book that I have is available for free. Just call me at 622-9622. If the gentleman who called earlier calls back and gets through, then he can have the book. The rest of us have to go buy it. And George, am I being rude by not referring to you as Dr. Kimeldorf?
I don't care. No, you're not being rude.
I didn't mean to be rude.
And by the way, even if you were rude, it wouldn't bother me. No, seriously, do you see that no matter what you call me, call me a jerk, or call me doctor, or call me mister, or call me anything, can you see that has no effect on me?
That's great.
It's your problem, okay? It's not mine.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you.
And that's why you are so inspirational, sir, because your book is filled with things that we wonder about. It's filled with levity, and really you are a deep thinker in this aspect. You really know how to convey your thoughts so others can be helped.
All right, let me give this book away. And good morning. You've got the book. Who's this? Good morning. You've got the book. Oh, gee.
Uh-oh.
You got to talk. I'm getting the radio feedback.
Yes, we want the book.
You got the book. I'm glad you got back through. All right, who's your first name?
The name is for Martha Genatasio.
Okay, Martha Genatasio. Okay, we're at the Paddock Mall, right?
That's a good Irish name now.
Yes.
We're at the mall, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I was there to say hello to your. I went to your radio station to say hello of your place in the mall there, and you had a nice young lady on the front desk, and I said hello to her. I just come to say hello to see your place. She says, "Oh, that was very nice."
Oh, that was good. Okay, well, the book will be waiting for you at that same place.
Okay, leave it with that nice young lady when you come in the door.
All right, we'll do that.
Yeah, Patsy's wonderful.
He's getting more airtime than I guess. Dr. George Kimeldorf, it's an honor to be able to say we chatted. Thank you so much for being on the air with us. Do you have a website you want to tell the listeners about, or any other way to get the book?
Yes, let me tell them 2 ways to get the book. One is, yes, I have a website, and the website is just the title of the book, From Seeker to Finder.com. From Seeker to Finder, one word, .com.
Okay.
So they can go there to buy the book, or they can buy the book on Amazon.
Okay, excellent. George, I think you should write another book. Thank you so much for being on to talk about this one. And I love your conclusions. I love your attitude, and it's contagious. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Larry, and thank you, Robin.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, sir.
We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back.
Hello, gorgeous.
Hi, this is Becky at Hello Gorgeous Salon. We are located in the heart of downtown Ocala, right next to the historic Marion Theater. I'd like to invite you to stop by and see our new boutique area and meet our staff of professional stylists. Here at Hello Gorgeous, we are ready for prom season with updos and makeup. And with summer coming, now's the time to book your appointment to get that Brazilian blowout or start with your summer highlights. But don't stop there. We are a full-service salon offering manicures, pedicures, and facials also. So if you've been searching for a salon to call your own, come and see us at Hello Gorgeous Salon. We are located at 48 South Magnolia Avenue in downtown Ocala, right next to the Marion Theater. So call today and set up your appointment at Hello Gorgeous Salon at 351-5358. That's 351-5358. And don't forget, we also do men and children's cuts too.
Hello, gorgeous.
This weather brought to you by A&A Lockdock. Did you know that most break-ins happen during bad weather because it masks the sound? Don't be another victim. Protect your home and business today. Call A&A Lockdock, 352-867-1965. That's 352-867-1965.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. We're at Florida. Cloudy this morning with a couple of showers and thunderstorms in the area, then some sunshine this afternoon and becoming a little less humid, the high 74 to 78. Tonight will be mainly clear, low 59 to 63. Tomorrow, times of clouds and sun, high 77 to 81. For Thursday, partly sunny with a high of 78 to 82. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Your heating and air conditioning unit sure will get a workout this season, and you need to make sure it's in tip-top condition. Let Air Ducts Heating and Air give you that peace of mind by knowing your unit will work at its optimum efficiency, saving you time and money. Air Ducts is a full HVAC residential and commercial company. Air Ducts is family-owned and operated, so we treat you the way we want to be treated. Air Ducts also offers discounts for builders and commercial applications, so give us a call today, 352-304-6766. That number again, 352-304-6766. Air Ducts Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hello, I'm here to tell you a little bit